how not to be triggered by what your husband says or does. Of course, you can apply this with your children, with your teenagers. So many women ask for this. I'm gonna like tell you everything, things that you can do right now, like really immediate, like a pill, and things that you can do for long-term success. Maybe understanding some things, maybe having some mindset shifts. So really how not to be bothered. In my opinion, this is what being an adult means. Like you can have all your feelings. This is what we try to teach children. You can have all your feelings, but how you're acting like that is something that you can control. We're trying to teach children, but we're not doing it because, yeah, nobody teaches us in school. Our parents didn't know, our grandmas didn't sit us down and say, like, look, when you're triggered, this is what you do, or this is the problem behind your triggers. Right? So let's get directly into it. The number one thing that you can do right now, I want to explain to you shortly. It's about nervous system regulation, meaning your stress levels, right? So this is like the same way we are hungry, and when we are hungry, we're not ourselves anymore, and we're irritable and like really just not ourselves, like a very it's like a child who didn't sleep, right? So the same way we are hungry physically, we can be hungry emotionally and mentally, and just like our nervous system is not regulated, is not calm. You know those situations where like you hear somebody in the house just moving things around and it irritates you, like you're almost like on the tip, on the verge of breaking down. You hear your children or your child or your dog just screaming, but like just playing, right? It's not even screaming like tantruming, or just doing something that you don't like, or just playing simply, and you're like, it feels like you're on the verge of screaming, breaking down. It feels danger, 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 like in your body. I feel it in my heart, actually. A lot of people feel it more like in the chest or in the belly or in the throat. In the body, it feels unsafe. It's so crazy to say, but it feels unsafe, like just hearing loud noises. Or like this shows that your nervous system is not regulated. And there's a lot of strategies for this. Yes, sometimes exercise and walk and meditation. But what if like you don't have the time for all this? Like what can you do right now? The most effective and the most like the simplest way I found, like doing a lot of research and like I want to apply holistic things into my coaching, is breathing exercises. You can do that. Like you can learn a technique of like counting, like for example, for 2 when you're inhaling, and double for exhaling, 4, right? Or 3 for inhale, 4 for exhale. And you even can go up, like 4 for inhale, out, 8 for exhale. So this kind of breathing signals to your nervous system that you are safe and it's okay, like it calms down. Just see it like when we wake up, we should be at 0 with our stress levels. Unfortunately, we are not. We don't wake up with a 0 stress level because we don't regulate our nervous system every day or the night before, or it's just like the stress and overwhelm and trauma builds up in our body. We don't shake it out like animals do, even though we can. That's another option. Um, and we're not even waking up at 0. But let's say you wake up at 0 and small stressors happen, right? Like every day, like uh, the alarm didn't, like even just having an alarm, that's already a stressor, or the alarm didn't ring when it should have, or the child doesn't want to get up, something gets burned, like you counted that you have cheese for breakfast but you don't, or eggs, like it's keeps going up and up, and at some point, like you're at 9, you feel like, okay, I'm gonna break. Like I'm gonna break, I'm gonna lash out at somebody, something happens in traffic. So it goes up from 0 maybe, and when you're at 10, that's when like your tipping point and you're maybe screaming, right? If you're like me, I was even at some point like hitting my husband if I was like very upset, like, oh my God, how could you do this? Like it was a small thing, but I was like going crazy. Um, or just like for most of us, it's yelling, right? And losing it and then being ashamed of how we acted, of course, because we realize like, okay, Even if I'm upset, I can say it nicely or politely or respectfully, or to my children, like, why did I yell at my children? They don't deserve this. Like, they don't deserve to see me always exhausted. So simple breathing exercises, like catch yourself, right? Like after a stressor, you can make like a 1 minute breathing exercise, like the exhale being double than the inhale. You can also do some shaking. This looks weird. I always say to my clients, they can do it in the evening with the children too, like just shaking your body. It's like shaking out the stress, and it regulates the nervous system. It's called like one of the somatic exercises. Somatic means related to the body, and there are exercises to regulate the nervous system. But I'm giving you the simplest thing you can do. Breathing, shaking, and what I do a lot with my one-on-one clients is emotional self-care. So if you do daily at least 3 things that make you happy, it's not things that you should do and should make you feel happy or should I don't know, like be good for you. It's things that actually make you happy. For some is dancing and singing and creating something, writing, journaling, reading on the balcony, drinking their coffee or tea on the balcony, or just being alone for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, right? So it's doing at least 3 things a day that make you happy. So this is a long-term strategy. Like you don't get to that point where you're like triggered and bothered and like just acting like a child tantruming in the store, right? So you don't feel good, others don't feel good. I'm not even saying to do it for others. It's a decision to be an adult, right? You're allowed to all the feelings, you can feel them, you can process them, but you want to be in charge of yourself, of how you're acting. This is what it means to be an adult. And I've said it is like many in other videos that a lot of people get to that point when they're 60, 70, 80, maybe. Like you can tell them anything, they're not bothered and like whatever. Like, but big things, right? Like, oh, they don't care. And they can make jokes about anything and they're not bothered. I want to have that kind of level of unbothered and wisdom. And I want to have it now, not when I'm 80. I want to be an adult now. I want to be in charge of myself. I don't want to feel like circumstances and people and whatever life is happening outside of me can like break me and change who I want to be. I want to decide intentionally who I am and how I act. So this is a decision. It's very empowering if you say it like that. I decide to be an adult. I decide to be in charge of myself. I feel empowered when I'm strong on the inside and soft on the outside. So somebody who's confident and strong on the inside, like working on their mental well-being, emotional well-being. On the outside, they will look like very soft and nice. They don't need to shout and yell. And yes, I know that is hard with small children. I told you, like, start with regulating the nervous system, then doing these next strategies. So it is possible. I didn't have like these tools when my daughter was young, unfortunately. So I went crazy a lot of times. But I do have clients who have babies, who have 3 children, 4 children. And I'm amazed. I'm almost thinking, I don't know if I could have done it, like with 4 children and being so calm. Like, I don't know. But I have the tools and I teach them and it works, right? Decide to become an adult. You are in charge of how you act, and how you act is determined by how you feel, right? Like if you feel frustrated and like that trigger, right? Those come from your thoughts. I said this in the previous video from this like 3-part series, but I will say it again. It's what you make the situation mean. So when your husband is saying or doing something that's triggering you, it's not the factual thing that the husband is doing or saying that thing. Somebody can tell you you're stupid, and if you believe it and whatever you make it mean, this is so disrespectful, like what is he thinking, right? Like all the mind drama that you're making, it will make you feel awful, right? if somebody like, hopefully your husband doesn't call you stupid. I just gave like a more powerful example so you understand. So if you feel so strong and good within yourself and you decided that day, like nothing is going to break my peace. Like I decide what breaks my peace. What breaks my peace is anything happening to my child or to any of my children. Or I decide, like I have a list of things that like that those break my peace, and like I let my anxiety go, like take on from that, right? But like somebody calling me stupid and like doing whatever, like that doesn't break me because I decided, like I worked on this. I decided to be an adult and I decide what breaks my peace or not. Um, so it's your thoughts. Like if you think the person who called you stupid, like they're so disrespectful, like this is like unbelievable, like how is it possible? All the things, right? You're gonna feel hurt. Or even there's another thing in psychology that if you think it's true, or if you have that doubt within yourself, you're gonna be triggered and react. If you know who you are, and yes, you make mistakes, and sometimes you act stupid, that doesn't mean you're stupid, but you accept it. You're so at peace with yourself, right? Like somebody can call you stupid and say, "I like, yeah, I do like some stupid things sometimes. Like but I super love myself. I do. I think I'm exceptional. Yes, I make mistakes sometimes. I do say or act like stupidly. Who doesn't? We see now on television, like like presidents and like famous people and people with PhD, they make mistakes or they make like do or say stupid things sometimes. So what? We're human. That's another strategy. This is again from the other video, but if you didn't watch it, like I'm gonna make it short. You're human, you're allowed to make mistakes. Your husband is human, he's allowed to make mistakes. So when somebody is doing something, or I don't know, let's say somebody else is yelling, or your partner is like raising his voice, if you make it mean, it's so disrespectful to me, like you're gonna be triggered, and the fight is starting. It's a power struggle. If you're good within you, right, like you took care of your nervous system, of your mental well-being, emotional well-being, and you decided who you want to be that day and from like now on and forever, you can say like, oh, like you don't usually act like that. Like I think you had a bad day or something, or oh, somebody is grumpy today, right? You won't make it mean something about you that, oh, and be upset and offended and triggered, right? Like he's raising his voice, like, oh my God, you must like be having a hard day to talk to me like that. You can leave, you can stay and be playful and like calm the situation down. But he's allowed to be triggered too. You're allowed to be triggered too. Like everyone's human and everyone's allowed to make mistakes. Everyone has like the right to make mistakes. There are like some hard things that like I hopefully like I hope that everyone is getting out like of situations of like drug abuse and like hard physical abuse, right? But otherwise, most of us, and in most ordinary marriages, like we're allowed to make mistakes. We're comparing everything to a perfect, idealistic thing that nobody has, like a perfect life that nobody has. Right. So just seeing you're human, he's human. You're allowed to make mistakes, he's allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to have a bad day, he's allowed to have a bad day. And remember also from last video, if he acts like, or he makes a mistake, or he acts in a way that like you don't like, don't make it mean something about him and his personality. Of course, he said this because he's so dot dot dot, like whatever your label is. He's so unsupportive, like he's so selfish, he's so arrogant, he's so like not understanding. He's always like this. He only thinks about himself. He never sees my point of view. Like he's so emotionally unavailable. He's so. If you make it mean about him, you're gonna be defensive and like again triggered and bothered, right? Like if you make it mean like he is allowed to make a mistake, or of course he doesn't understand me, like he's a man, he has a different understanding of the world. It's and the different DNA and the different brain and the different needs, then like he cannot understand me, but okay, I will focus on a solution, right? Also, these mistakes see them as opportunity to learn instead of like being caught in the situation. Just be curious, like lean back lean back and be curious, like, what can I learn from this? I can learn that when he says a thing, like, I'm so triggered, like, this is something that I have to journal on, go to therapy, talk with a friend about this. Like, I'm so triggered and I'm focusing on me. Like, this is an opportunity to heal a trigger so it never comes up again. So how is it possible that I'm so bothered by such a small thing? Somebody mentioned not a long time ago that she's triggered just because her husband leaves the grocery like bags on the floor. Like, he puts the things in the fridge, let's say, but he leaves the bags on the floor for her to like put them at their place, and she hates it. So it's a small thing, but for her, of course, like, it's strong, right? There's a trigger. There's an opportunity to like work on that. Why? Why do you make it? What do you make it mean? Is it true? What's the opportunity to learn? Like, the opportunity to learn in this case is um instead of being triggered and bothered and like telling your husband like, hey, like, if you're putting the things back, put the bags too. Don't don't let them there like just for me to pick them up, like, I'm not your servant, right? And so on. Like, this is such a small thing. What's the opportunity? The opportunity is um to learn how to express what you want or how would you like things to go. Like, either accept them and let them go because your life and your peace and the emotional intimacy between you and your husband is so important that this like doesn't deserve mentioning, or you learn how to say it like, oh, like, I wish you I wish the bags would be at their place too, right? Like, just so simple, but you learn how to say it in a way that is not controlling. Not, I wish you would put the bags back, mister. Just like, oh, you left the bags here, like, I wish they were inside. Or just saying the problem, the bags are outside. Oh, the bags are on the floor, right? Like, just, yeah, okay. And after he does the thing like that you would like him to do, like when you express a desire or a problem, but you have to be careful not to be attached to who, when, and how. Like, maybe he won't do it, maybe your children will do it, right? Like, if you express the problem, like, uh, there are bags on the floor, let's say nobody picks them up. Like, you keep saying it in a way, like, there's an opportunity to find a way to say it that somebody wants to do it and please you and solve the problem. And especially if you have voice, and for your husband, men love to solve problems. And after he does it, like, just say like, thank you, I appreciate it so much. You might say, yeah, but it's normal. Why should I say thank you? Because it feels good to you. I always say this, it feels good to you. Why wouldn't you say thank you? Or you can create a culture of appreciation in the home. If you say thank you, other people will appreciate you and say thank you for you too. Like, thank you for making dinner, for example. So why not create a culture of appreciation? Why not say thank you? Of course. Like, when he does like anything that you like, you like, say thank you. I appreciate it. I love it so much. It makes me happy just to see there's no clutter. I feel so much better, and I feel like I can be more myself and not upset. Right? So there's always an opportunity. What's the opportunity in every trigger, in every mistake your husband does, in everything that bothers you? Lean back and just be curious. And how you lean back, I wrote down, like, this is another technique that you can learn and do like immediately. I learned it actually from a parenting expert, from Dr. Laura Markham. The technique is called stop, drop, and breathe. So stop everything you're doing, like, even if it's in the middle of a sentence, like, drop everything you're doing, take a deep breath. Breathing is really like proven and effective way that works to calm your nervous system so you can be more intentional instead of reactional. Stop, drop, and breathe. If you need, like, if it's possible, like, create a strategy for yourself. This is what I do with my clients. We create a strategy. So when you feel triggered, bothered, like, oh, something's not right, like, I feel my stress going from 5 to 8, like, just like this, because he said that one thing when he came back from work. Have a strategy. Usually what works, like, is a small thing, go to the bathroom, like, just go out of the room, go to the bathroom, splash your face with cold water, like, do something that disrupts the unhealthy dynamic. You calm yourself down. It can take 1 minute going to the bathroom, like, just disrupting everything. And like remembering, okay, the next strategy is actually like visualizing before the trigger happens, because you know what are your triggers. Like you look at your life, you think about your triggers, or as they happen, you write them down. Like at the end of the week, you can say like, okay, this keeps repeating. Actually, I have maximum 10 triggers. I don't think there are more. Like, or you can put them in maybe 4 categories. When he does this, when he says this, right? Like it's not a lot. You can put them maybe in 1 or 2 big categories. You look at it like you expect it. Okay, I will be triggered. How do I want to react when I'm going to be triggered? I want to say, like, I want to like even shut my mouth and then say this sentence, or I want to have this strategy. I go to the bathroom. When I come back, I say, like, look, I know you don't want to, and I know you love me and you're supportive, and I would really love it if you would blah, blah, blah. It would make me so happy. I know you want me to be happy. This is so much better than yelling and being triggered, right? So know your triggers, decide intentionally how you want to act when you are triggered, visualize it at night, take one thing at a time, right? Visualize it at night. Okay, like play a mental movie that, okay, I'm gonna come home, he's gonna be on the couch, I'm gonna be triggered because he's not doing anything. What do I want to do then? Like you make a plan for yourself. I want to go to the bathroom, and instead of like starting to cook dinner and everything, I'm going to take a shower for 5 minutes just to calm down and disrupt the dynamic. You make a plan, you visualize it. Your brain doesn't make the difference between reality, what is real and what you visualize, right? Like if you, the pictures in your mind, if you visualize it, you teach your brain new neural pathways, like how to react in the real situation when the real situation happens. So it's kind of having a protocol. This happens, he says this, he does this, or whatever is in this category that he is not supporting around the house or not parenting the children the way I want him to. This is what I will do. I have a protocol. Like I'm in charge. I'm in charge here, not like my inner child. I'm in charge. And I'm gonna do this. It won't go perfectly for maybe for a week, right? Like you will keep making mistakes, going back and forth, all dynamics. Another trick, another strategy is when you yell, when you're triggered, when you're starting to be controlling after you're bothered and triggered, when you yell and being triggered and being reactional, like not the way that you decided intentionally that you want to act. So your higher self, like with your prefrontal cortex, your smart self, your wise self, you decide before. If you don't act according to that, there's a trick. It's going to be painful. You apologize. Apologizing is so painful. It's also very mature and like very empowering, but it's so painful to say, I apologize for raising my voice. It's going to feel so painful that you make the time, the learning curve smaller between like you actually catching yourself before you yell, before you're triggered, before you're bothered. You catch yourself, right? Because it's so painful to apologize then that it's better to like catch yourself and really act with intention. So if you do act like and react, right? For you, like you might have a lot of um let's call them excuses, but of course I'm gonna yell if like this happens over and over and I feel like I'm having another child. Of course I'm gonna yell. It's that thing that when you're doing it, you have like circumstantial excuses, but if he's doing something, it's not circumstantial. It's not circumstantial. It's a character trait. It's a personality trait. So be mindful of this mistake. What if, like, even if you have the reasons, and yes, you have the right, like you have the right to yell and scream, but it's not intentional. It's not you being in charge of yourself. Is this how you want to act? If this is how you want to act and it's bringing you great results and great intimacy with your husband, emotional and physical, and not leading to divorce, like do whatever you want. But most probably it doesn't. Like for sure, like, or most probably this is not what you want. You want to be an adult. You want to be emotionally intelligent, emotionally wise, and act according to how you want to act, not to react in the moment. Even if you have all the excuses in the world, even if you have the right to yell and do whatever, right? Well, not to kill your husband, even if you want to sometimes. I know I did. Being in charge of yourself is the most powerful thing you can do in your life. There's no anything else. I know when I had this realization, I felt like I don't need anything else in the world if I know like I'm in charge of how I think and feel and act. There's nothing more empowering. All the career titles, all the money in the world, all the things outside of yourself won't ever like be 1% of how strong and powerful you feel to know I'm in charge of how I act, not what my husband says or does, not what my children do, not what my neighbor, not what my boss, not what my colleague, my friend, my family, my mother, my sister. Like it's like, no, I'm not. I'm in charge of myself. I decide how I act because I know me, I act with intention. I feel things intentionally. Like today, if I want to feel peaceful, I decide how I think to make myself feel peaceful. Okay. Yes, this was actually the last thing, like act with intention of what you want. If you want emotional intimacy, right? You don't want to yell and scream. You can be vulnerable. So you do that thing of going to the bathroom, you come back and say like, I really don't know what to do. Like this is vulnerable. I feel triggered, but I know I don't want to. You're a great husband. You're a great husband. And I feel so annoyed right now. I don't want to. Like, please help me. I really don't know what to do. I think I need a hug. Can we just like hold hands and hug each other for 2 minutes because I really feel triggered. I don't want to. I don't want to yell and scream like I did before. This is vulnerable, but it does create a lot. It's courageous, it's powerful, it creates a lot of emotional intimacy. If you're not in that spot, it's okay. It's okay. It's very vulnerable, right? Because you don't even let yourself think that you might not be perfect or not have all the answers or um yeah, it feels painful. It's that thing of wanting to be perfect, right? And accepted and loved and just be seen as perfect and wonderful and not saying ever that I need help or I don't know what to do. Like it feels like if you say these things, you're not I don't know, a feminist or even empowered. But actually, right, like from all this research and psychology, the people who are powerful, they are able to be vulnerable. That's very courageous. You cannot do it with anyone, of course. You don't do it at work. Don't do it at work. It's very powerful and courageous and confident. Confident people can be vulnerable. It's like, or it at least after you're being vulnerable, it it also like builds confidence, right? And it's that thing like saying, you know what, I'm not perfect and it's okay. I don't know what to do all the time and it's okay, right? But when we have like all the excuses, well, of course I'm yelling. Of course, like I know, like I still do it sometimes. Again, I'm not perfect, right? Like I can say it too. Of course, it's easy for me from the outside to help other people when I'm like inside in my situation and I'm not doing all the things for my emotional well-being and emotional self-care. I might still get triggered sometimes. Fortunately, it didn't happen for like many months at least. I had a period of a few years when I was doing great, then I regressed, right? So it's up and down, but it's I'm always looking at progress or looking at solutions. Oh, like this was another thing when I said like expect the mistakes or expect the triggers and see them as an opportunity to learn and asking like being more solution focused and problem focused, more like like this is so triggering, how can I solve this, how can I change this, instead of reacting or like just explaining what a silly jerk, unsupportive, arrogant, unhelpful husband you have. Instead of focusing on the problem, focus on the solution. Like just like this is a big thing. It can help you in work. It can help you in anything in life. Being solution focused instead of problem focused. Like why am I having this trigger? Like I wonder what I could do. I wonder what I can change. I wonder how I can break this dynamic. I'm curious, like being curious and open, like fostering this like openness, curiosity, right? Like shutting up more, like intentionally shutting up more, being reflective, hearing your thoughts and seeing how they're creating your feelings, just seeing the other person as normal and trying to maybe understand them instead of always trying to make them understand you. It builds so much inner power. Let me know if it would help you actually to have a more like organized list. I hope you made some notes. Take one thing at a time, right? Like take one thing at a time. Don't just take this lesson and say, oh, yeah, yeah, it sounds nice. Or, oh, no, like I hate it. Like, no, it doesn't make sense. She doesn't know my situation. Like, I'm entitled to be like angry and yell. Well, again, if you're fighting for your limitations, you get to keep them. Okay, if that's what you want to yell and this is how you want to live your life, it's okay. I'm not gonna like I go you like if you're living after your intention and if your intention is to yes this is how I want to live my life and yell every day, then it's okay. Who am I to say how to live your life? I'm not telling you how to live your life. Like you decide. I'm empowering you to know psychologically that your thoughts create your feelings. Your thoughts about situations create how you feel. The triggers are not created by the husband or the kids. They are created by like how regulated your nervous system is. Like I still feel that sometimes, right? I just hear some noise in the house and it irritates me and I'm thinking, okay, like this is not good. This is not good. I have to like go out, take a walk, listen to like very calming music. I have to do something because otherwise, like I'm there. Like my stress went up, or I'm very focused on something, and it just like small noises annoy me. Like that's not good. Like it's emergency. Like leave everything. Yes, even if I'm cooking dinner for others. Yes, look everything. I'm number one. Emergency, emergency. Like taking care of myself. 5 minutes. It's you have to. Let me know if a list of something like this would help you. And I'm also thinking of offering like a mini challenges. I heard this from a coach recently and I loved it. Like a mini challenge, it's you don't go through a whole coaching relationship like 3 months. Even if like I highly recommend, there's nothing like better than somebody supporting you like all the way and really like giving these tools like one at a time, listening to what is going well, what's not going well, what to do differently, one step at a time. Like in 3 months, you can be in a totally different place. A good therapist if you find one, uh, a coaching, life coaching, relationship coaching, like really working and having somebody like who just knows some tools and how to take somebody through a process, through a proven process or method or framework. Like this is how you do it. I'm gonna take your hand, like you still do it, but I know the easy way out. I'm gonna show you the easy way, like you don't have to struggle. What was I saying? Yeah. So I heard about this, like doing a mini challenge. So instead of like a whole coaching relationship, a mini one-on-one challenge, right? We hear about the challenges like 5-day challenge, but it's like with many people doing a tiny challenge with one person. It's like 3, maximum 5 sessions. I'm thinking about this. This is not what I'm promoting right now. But I am thinking like, let me know if this is something you would be interested in, like seeing each other maybe 3 times for 30 minutes or maximum 5 times for 30 minutes and going through the situations that are triggering and like taking it one at a time to like you take it, you apply it, we meet next time, or you do the homework with me, right? Like we make the plan of what do you want to do when your husband says this or does this. So let me know if this would be interesting to you. I want to offer it, but maybe not for a lot of people because I'm testing. I'd love to test stuff. I'm curious. So if this works, then yes, why not? I don't want to do like a whole 3-month coaching relationship if a 5-day challenge, like 30 minutes every day, not even like it doesn't have to be consecutive days, right? But if a 5-day like relationship would help like solve a problem, why not? I want to make like the easiest possible, the shortest possible. Like we're busy enough, we're exhausted enough. Like we already have like that unregulated nervous system, stress, and like all the things, the work, the kids, the house, the hobbies, the activities. Like, yeah. So let me know if that would be something you're interested in, and I'm gonna offer it probably to maximum 10 people. I'm not gonna like make a big fuss out of this. Um, Maybe for the people who registered for this training, those will be like the number one who hear about this, and otherwise maybe the YouTube. Yeah. Okay. See you the next one. There's another training in this series about oh yes, like the maximizing the chances of having a happy marriage. So it's more like you'll just see the next video. You have to watch it. It's gonna be good, and I'm gonna be make it shorter. Okay, bye bye. Let me know if you're interested in the mini challenge, in the mini one-on-one challenge. Bye.